Top deadliest stunts people signed up for. Ask almost any daredevil, stunt performer, or extreme sports athlete since the 1970s who provided their greatest inspiration, and the name Evel Knievel inevitably leaps to mind. In his career as a motorcycle jumping daredevil, Knievel dreamed big, performed fearlessly, and had the 433 broken bones to prove it. Or so says the Guinness Book of World Records. Below, a list of adrenaline-fueled boundary pushers who have followed in his death-defying footsteps. From a former Google engineer who made a world record freefall from the edge of the stratosphere to a Brazilian surfer who rode and survived an 80-foot tall monster wave. The risks may change, but the irresistible urge to take them lives on. So don't forget to watch today's video to the very end for the top deadliest stunts people signed up for. But before we begin, we request you to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss another upload of ours. Having said that, let's jump right in. Number 10. Evel Knievel, the godfather of daredevils. Formerly known as Robert Craig Knievel Jr., Evel Knievel almost single-handedly revived the daredevil business in the 1960s and 70s with a genius for publicity, a knack for jumping motorcycles over cars and other objects, and a seemingly limitless tolerance for broken bones. The American public got its first major glimpse of Knievel in 1967, when he drove his motorcycle off a ramp at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas in an attempt to leap the casino's fountains. He stayed airborne for 140 feet, but came down hard, breaking multiple bones, many jumps and hospital stays. Later, he attempted his most daring and publicized jump, flying a rocket-powered cycle 1,600 feet across the Snake River Canyon in Twin Falls, Idaho in 1974. Unfortunately, a parachute on the craft deployed prematurely, causing it to stop short and float down into the canyon, leaving Knievel with some minor scrapes. Evel Knievel retired in 1976, but not before his last major jump, clearing 14 Greyhound buses at an Ohio theme park without breaking a single bone. Number 9. Philippe Petit, Man on a Wire. The French-born high-wire artist, who later moved to the United States, first came to worldwide attention in 1971 when, at age 21, he strung a wire between two towers at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris and walked across 223 feet off the ground. He topped that in 1974, when he performed the same feat, 1,350 feet in the air, in a 4 to 5 minute walk back and forth between the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. Although he was quickly arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and criminal trespass, the city, perhaps bowing to a public charmed by the young daredevil's audacity, agreed to drop the charges in return for an encore performance in Central Park. Since then, he has walked wires around the world and been featured in both an Academy Award-winning documentary, Man on Wire, and a fictionalized account, The Walk. I prepare by reducing the unknown to nothing, but also by knowing my limits, he told The New Yorker in 1999. If I think I am a hero who is invincible, I will pay for it with my life. Happily, as of this video, he is still alive. Number 8. Karl Wallenda, Flying Family Patriarch. Famed aerialist and member of the Flying Wallenda family, Karl Wallenda Wire walked across the quarter-mile Tallulah Falls Gorge in Georgia in 1970 and across Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia in 1972 before a Phillies game. Local papers reported that he consumed 1 beer before that stunt and 8 martinis after. The wire swayed so much he sat down on it midway through the crossing. The 73-year-old German-born Wallenda died in 1978 when a gust of wind knocked him off the wire he was crossing between 2 hotel towers in San Juan, Puerto Rico. In front of a traumatized crowd of onlookers, he fell headfirst and landed on a taxi. The Wallenda family were no strangers to tragedy. In 1962, the Wallenda's 7-person tightrope pyramid collapsed 35 feet over the ground, killing 2 family members and injuring Karl. The show must, and did, go on. His great-grandson Nick Wallenda has since completed the wire walk that took his Karl Wallenda's life. Number 7. The Human Fly, strapped to a jet. The Human Fly, whose identity was kept secret, was only seen in public wearing a rhinestone-studded red and silver mask jumpsuit. His first set of stunts involved being strapped, standing up, to the top of a jet as it sped at 300 miles per hour. Another stunt, staged in Montreal's Olympic Stadium, involved a motorcycle jump over 27 buses, topping Evel Knievel's record jump over 13 school buses. But the Human Fly crashed upon landing and was never seen again. It was later revealed the human fly was a scheme launched by two brothers in Montreal looking for something more exciting than working in their family sausage-making factory. And there had always been more than one guy wearing the red suit. Number 6. Jackie Chan, daredevil actor. Hong Kong native Jackie Chan famously does all of his own stunts and has the broken bones and skull to show for it. In 1985's Police Story, Chan slid down a 4-story pole covered in lights and crashed through a large pane of glass, suffering second-degree burns and dislocating his pelvis. In 1986's Armor of God, he attempted to jump from a wall to a tree branch, but missed the branch and landed on his head, cracking his skull and requiring emergency brain surgery. Perhaps his most famous stunt was being dragged around Hong Kong hanging from a helicopter by a rope ladder in 1992's Super Cop. Number 5. Dar Robinson, stuntman of legend. Dar Robinson didn't consider himself a daredevil. The legendary stuntman carefully calculated all of his record-breaking stunts to maximize safety. He made the Guinness Book of World Records for being the highest-paid stuntman, $100,000 to jump off the 1,100-foot CN Tower in Toronto before opening a parachute 300 feet from the ground for the 1979 movie High Point. In 1980, he jumped from the tower again attached to a steel cable that broke his fall 200 feet from the ground. He held world records and firsts for the highest fall into an airbag, 311 feet, and skydiving from one plane into another. He died at 39 years old filming a standard motorcycle chase scene. He was thrown from the bike, fell 40 feet down a cliff, and was gored by a sagebrush limb. Number 4. Larry Walters, also known as Lawn Chair Larry. Frustrated that his poor eyesight kept him from a career as an Air Force pilot, a California truck driver hatched a plan to attach 42 large helium weather balloons to a lawn chair and see where it took him. On July 2, 1982, with the help of his girlfriend, Walters strapped himself into a regular metal lawn chair attached to 42 8-foot balloons and cut the restraining cords, expecting to rise about 30 feet before controlling his descent with a pellet pistol. Walters shot up to 16,000 feet before finally leveling off. Luckily, in addition to the beer and sandwiches he brought with him, he also had a CB radio, which he used to make contact with authorities. He floated through the flight path to Los Angeles International Airport, where more than one pilot reported a man in a lawn chair with a gun cruising at 16,000 feet. He shot a few of the balloons and eventually landed safely dangling from a power line. Number 3. Ken Carter, Rocket Car Man. Canadian stuntman and daredevil Ken Carter made a name for himself in the 1970s and early 80s jumping cars long distances with the aid of homemade rocket engines. He had been jumping rocket cars for 27 years before a horrific crash took his life in 1983. Attempting to break his own rocket car, recurred by jumping 200 feet from ramp to ramp over a man-made pond in Ontario. The rocket engine failed to shut off, propelling Carter 100 feet past the ramp. The car rolled in midair and fell 7 to 5 feet onto its roof. The safety roll cage was crushed flat. Number 2. Alain Robert, the French Spider-Man. Alain Robert was already known as one of the world's most daring unassisted solo mountain climbers. No ropes, no special equipment, just his hands and feet. When he took on a whole new challenge, skyscrapers. In 1994, he climbed the iconic Empire State Building, wedging his fingers and toes in the crevices between windows. Since then, he's gone on to climb more than 70 skyscrapers, often in his signature Spider-Man suit, including the world's tallest buildings, the 1,483 feet, 452-meter Petronas Towers in Malaysia, and the 2,717 feet, 828-meter Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It seems the upward urge was always with him. He scaled his first building at age 11, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, when he was locked out of the family's 7th-floor apartment and climbed the side of the building to get in. Number 1. Doug Danger, record-breaking motorcycle jumper. A protege of Evel Knievel, Doug Danger Senecal started jumping motorcycles in the late 1970s. His first stunt may have been riding his motorcycle down his high school hallways on a dare. After clearing 14 buses in 1985 and 25 cars in 1990, he entered the Guinness Book of World Records with the longest motorcycle jump at the time, 251 feet over 42 cars. A crash in 1992 left him in a coma with 17 broken bones. After relearning how to walk and talk, he came back to jumping and now tours as a motivational speaker to kids. With that, we end today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And join in a next time for more of such interesting content.